Maya in Douala to request for their unpaid royalties. The artists who were led by Sam Benvey have stated most of the companies they are signed to have been breaching their terms and conditions. Nolinga with details in the following report.
They negotiated something that we don't want to respect. They just need to respect the engagement they took with the CMC. That's just all what we are here for.
In a peaceful protest, these artists, under the leadership of one of Cameroon's finest, Sam Bende, have converged here at the SAR Maya company to demand for their legitimate rights.
Right is not a tax. It's the right.
Yes.
It's the right. You use my music, you have to pay. That's all. It's not anything else. It's not a tax, because tax is like you are a buyer, or something like you are some television, or you have to pay your rights, your taxes in the ministry. Not here. Here you have to sign the contract with me, and you pay my rights, and I give you my music.
Like the teachers, the artists who have come from the 10 regions of Cameroon have called on the head of state, President Paul Biya, to intervene and enable their courts for justice, while stating enough is enough.
Something is inside there trying to negotiate with them so we can get to a point where they can just respect the engagement and then pay the dues. That's just all why we're here.
However, after long-term deliberations, dispositions were immediately taken, leading the disgruntled artists to the bank.
Despite government's promises and measures, Cameroonian teachers in the public education sector across the country have continued their strike action. In government bilingual high school, Kribi students were on campus and in class, though lectures were not on. Details right ahead. Citing unpaid salaries, poor working conditions, amongst other grievances, public school teachers in Cameroon have been on strike for weeks now, putting the education of thousands of children on hold. The wind of the over 3-week strike is blowing in Kribi, Ocean Division of the South region, with teachers demanding better working conditions despite government's promises.
Cameroonian teachers are not teaching anymore because they want to get their money, the salaries and everything, every kind of advantages of their job. Our government noticed this movement and take measures to solve the problem.
The strike action in Kribi is in two phases. Some teachers are carrying out their activities while others are still not convinced.
Teachers are not teaching, but since the government spoke at TV, some of them are now teaching, and they hope, as we tell them, they must be hoping that the government will do what he said it will be done.
At Government Bilingual High School Kribi, students were in class and on campus, though no lectures were ongoing. As the teachers continue with their strike action, concerns over the coverage of the annual school program, especially for examination classes, have been raised, with many awaiting answers. Away from the teacher strike action, some men of the underworld last night attempted to rob a company at the Ewane neighborhood in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital. After waiting to no avail for police intervention, neighbors who witnessed the robbery soon tracked down and apprehended the bandits. Joy Gang completes the story.
Little after midnight, breaking March 16, 2022, while the rest of Douala was fast asleep, a company at the Accra neighborhood was a target of theft and armed robbery. According to eyewitness reports, the robbers made use of the roof of the company building as their entry and exit point. After trying unsuccessfully to reach the police, neighbors who were witnessing the scene defeated their fear, braved up courage, and decided to intervene. When one of the robbers came out of the company building with 2 heavy bags, the neighbors quickly alerted the security guards and began chanting "Au voleur" in a bid to raise alarm. Of course, their efforts paid off. The bandit, in his attempt to flee, abandoned the 2 bags on the rooftop of the company building. Fortunately or unfortunately for Mr. Bandit, his tiny feet could only take him so far. It wasn't long before the population caught up with him, gave him the beating of his life, and seized all the items he had stolen. In the midst of all the drama, his bandit colleagues took off when they sensed their robbery had gone sour. The local police arrived at the scene about 2 hours later, dispersed the crowd, and took the bandit to the station.
The mayor of the Babaju Council in the West region of the country has handed over Category A driving permit to motorcycle transporters in her municipality. The objective is to reduce clashes between law enforcement officers and these motorcycle riders. Eileen Sama with details in the following report.
The transporters, who are about 100 of them, specialize in the commercial bike riding sector. Beneficiaries of driving licenses Category A at the end of their training was thanks to an initiative of the mayor of Babaju municipality.
Et nous avons pensé que pour ces jeunes qui se battent et qui rendent vraiment service à la population,
we thought that for these youths fighting for survival and who render great services to the general public and whom today have been multiplied like 10 times, because it is worth recalling that we are in a region bordered by the northwest and southwest, and we have welcomed many internally displaced persons. We thought it wise to help them out, to reach out to them from the council and to know them all, be sure of the training they have received, and empower those who can, and give them the documents that they need so that they can no longer be in discord and dispute with security controls.
Dispute qu'ils ne soient plus mis mal à l'aise par les multiples contrôles.
The handover ceremony of the driving licenses to the beneficiaries took place at the conference hall of the Babaju Council under the watchful eyes of the divisional officer of the Babaju municipality, which borders the northwest region. It is not easy to come across such gesture, and we would like to say we are witnesses to what just happened here in Babaju, not only to ensure security in the city, but a city comfortable for all citizens to live in and be transported without any trouble. For the beneficiaries of the first phase, they expressed their gratitude by gifting the mayor of Babaju. It is with great satisfaction that we receive our driving licenses, and it is usually said that he who says thank you is asking for more. According to the mayor of Babaju, Giselle Tango, this is the first phase of a series of actions carried out by the delegation of transport geared at reaching out to all actors in the transport sector, who are estimated to be about 100 in the municipality.
Now, Women's Empowerment Network 2021, an organization with objective of empowering women and promoting leadership roles, yesterday held an event at Best Western Hotel in Douala. Yesterday's meeting was under the patronage of the American Chamber of Commerce in Cameroon. Nora Kakebi attended the event on our reports.
Still in the context of the Women's Day celebrations for the year 2022, a conference was organized by the Women's Empowerment Network under the distinguished patronage of the American Chamber of Commerce in Cameroon. The event took place yesterday, March 15, 2022, at the Best Western Hotel in the economic capital, Douala. Among the several points raised was the impact of COVID-19 in women leadership, as well as equal opportunities of access to finance and leadership positions. The word of welcome from the president of the organization served as a huge encouragement during the opening ceremony of the conference.
It's a group of about 25 companies which business ties in the USA. And our goal is to promote trade and investment between the US and Peru, and also to advocate for an enabling business environment with sound practices. And today we are celebrating women, and the international team is gender equality today for sustainable tomorrow.
According to one of the women who received awards as recognition for their hard work, Madam Beatrice Gicham, CEO of the White House restaurant, hard work pays.
This morning they called and that I have an award. This award is called hard working. But can you believe this? Because I'm still planning to do more. So this award gives more strength to go forward and to help the young Cameroonians, especially girls, to go forward. Because these days I realize that they all pack their degrees in their bags. They don't want to do something, but that you start from nothing. Because I started with 2 chairs, 4 chairs. Today I can count 1,000. I can count about how many restaurants. So I'm just so happy, so aware. This one to give me more strength, more courage to go ahead, to further ahead.
Moreover, the American Embassy as well as the American School were present to applaud such an event meant to honor women.
It's a very inspiring event. It was great to hear from female entrepreneurs. I'm a father of 2 daughters, so for myself, I of course encourage my daughters to be entrepreneurial. And of course, coming from the American School, we really look forward to encouraging our students, our female students, to be hardworking, to take risks, to be resilient, and go into business and become entrepreneurs as well. So it's quite an inspiring time here today.
Women were highly supportive and present physically and via Zoom, celebrating the strength of the women folk.
In a related story, some women in Yaoundé, the nation's capital city, have been trained to be job creators and not job seekers. The training was done by a non-governmental organization, Aweka Center correspondent Cordell Lumthos Osman.
When you empower one woman, you empower a nation. It is on this note that some women in the nation's capital have converged in a certificate award ceremony after undergoing training for quite a while on a variety of exciting skills they have attained. The event, which was graced with the presence of some men of God and the initiators, was filled with incessant joy as these women jubilated in all they have acquired and ready to showcase their know-how to the world at large.
I've learned paper flowers, detergent, liquid soap, cakes and pastries, snail farming, and many other things.
I've learned how to make paper flower, pastry and cake decoration, liquid soap, detergent, snail farming, and they also taught us self-empowerment.
And also came out with a beautiful cake.
AWEC, in its acronym, is aimed at empowering underprivileged women in its majority who do not have the means but are ready to work extremely hard to foot their bills and put food on the table.
Our objective is not just to give them the skills and the knowledge, but to actually see how we can go alongside with them, building small businesses that will help them to generate income, fight against poverty, and make them instruments that can bring development in the society. Not only will they be useful to their families because they will be able to generate incomes, but our desire also is that they can begin with some little steps to contribute also to the development of the society.
I grew up in a very challenging home where the young girl were not really promoted in the way that they should grow in the right way. At the same time, my father was a man who was really devoted to promote his girls, but at the same time, with the polygamous home, it's always challenging. So growing up, I really had that challenge to really have freedom as a young lady and having access to many things. So I decided that I will actually empower as many as possible, because I also got myself entangled with a lot of damages. Like the society offered a lot of things, and most actually for the young girls, negative ones. So I got myself really mixed up with a lot of negative things, and I learned from there, and I realized that I actually have a lot to offer.
The glorious certificate award ceremony ended well as these hard-working women promised to expand in all they have acquired in the center and to work in synergy in empowering other women in their different areas of the country, especially those who came from the restive regions.
The United States government has renovated the National Veterinary Laboratory Lenavet and equally donated some equipment to the facility. The renovated facility was inaugurated yesterday, March 15 in Yaoundé, in a ceremony presided over by the director of the Cooperative Threat Reduction Program at the Defense Threat Reduction Agency. And on to health, our reporter Bokengo Wadi dwells on epilepsy, its causes, signs and symptoms in a bid to break stigma surrounding the health condition and equally reduce prevalence globally. The month of March has been set aside to raise awareness regarding the health condition. Bokengo Wadi with details in this report.
Being a brain condition characterized by seizure disorders resulting from the disturbance in nerve cell activities in the brain, the health condition, epilepsy, has different forms and reactions.
Epilepsy is a common brain condition characterized by recurring seizures. Now, epilepsy can be classified into three. We have partial seizures, generalized seizures, and secondary generalized seizures. For the partial seizures, it affects just one part of your brain. For the generalized seizures, it affects all the part of your brain. And for the secondary generalized seizures, it affects all part of your brain, but starting from partial before generalized seizures.
Though the health condition have different types affecting different parts of the brain and possesses different reactions, these other have signs and symptoms and triggers which individuals are all encouraged to know and watch out for. These include
convulsion without fever. We could have confused memory. We could have body stiffness. We could have sudden falling. You can also have jerking of arms, legs, or body, and you could also have loss of consciousness. For predisposing factors, that's those who are at risk of developing epilepsy, include age, family history. Family history may be from somebody who had in your family. You talk as a result of brain injury, stroke, and dementia.
Bearing complications such as convulsion, sudden jerks, drowning, falling, bone fracture due to falling, reduced life quality, societal stigma, and many more. Early diagnosis is important for better management of epilepsy.
It can be diagnosed using the lumbar puncture, it could be diagnosed using CT scan, it could be diagnosed using an X-ray. And now for the management, with the help of your healthcare practitioner, you can take anti-epileptic drugs as prescribed to you. Most importantly, prevent falls, stay safe.
Around the world, epilepsy is ranked as the fourth most common neurological disorder, affecting about 50 million persons of all ages, with an estimated 80% of these sufferers living in low and middle income countries like Cameroon. Nonetheless, 70% of these persons, according to data from the World Health Organization, could live a seizure-free life if the epilepsy is properly diagnosed, managed, and treated.
Bokengo, while this report on Epilepsy Awareness Month ends today's edition of Prime News on My Media Prime Television. Coming up at exactly 7 p.m. It's Prime Hour with Kumlena Ranisti. My name is Fon Quinter. Have a great evening in the company of more programs on the African Eye. Good night.